Hey guys, welcome to the Trash Picture Show. Yesterday I went to see Dune Part 2, the second entry in Denis Villeneuve's Dune saga. This picks up directly after the first movie, and we see Timothée Chalamet and his mother Jessica, played by Rebecca Ferguson, integrating into the Fremen and slowly building up a plan in order to get revenge on those who killed both his father and Jessica's husband, Leto Atreides. This movie is essentially a lot more action-packed than the prior movie. As I said before, I think if you go into the Dune movies thinking you're getting Star Wars, you're going to be sorely disappointed. This is a lot more cerebral and a lot more deep of a sci-fi than, say, Star Wars. I'm not saying Star Wars is devoid of any depth, but this is a lot more lofty of a sci-fi tale. Obviously based on the critically acclaimed Frank Herbert novels. This is something that you just don't go into expecting all style and no substance, because there is a lot going on in this movie. This movie has a lot to say. One of the things the movie seems to focus on the most is the ideals of religious fundamentalism, as in one could use people's beliefs as a tool to manipulate them into fighting or to taking up a particular cause. At the start, Paul is very reluctant to use the prophecy that he is the one that will lead the Fremen to a greener, better place. But as the story continues, he realizes that he may have no choice. If he wants to get revenge on those who took his father's life and destroyed his father's legacy, he will have to go under the guise of this messianic leader and use the Fremen in order to essentially overthrow Arrakis. The movie also shows the struggle between two sides of the Fremen. You have Chani, who's in love with Paul but doesn't believe in the prophecy, and she's the kind of thing that's keeping him grounded. And as the movie goes on, little by little, he starts to slip away from her, which I think is the actual real tragedy of the story. On the flip side, you have a true believer in Javier Bardem's Stilgar, who, despite even pleas from Paul that he's not the chosen one, adamantly believes. In fact, this reinforces every setback or everything or every ounce of doubt. Stilgar actually converts into something that bolsters his belief in Paul. And it shows the dangers of blind faith. It shows that blind faith, while it can be advantageous for some, can be incredibly dangerous for others. Out of the new characters that was introduced, my favourite had to be Austin Butler's Feyd Rattah Harkonnen, the Baron's nephew. This guy is incredibly sadistic, savage, and essentially the polar opposite of Paul Atreides. He is the most despicable creature you will ever come by, and is as far removed from the 1980s camp version played by Steen in the original Lynch Dune. Visually, as like the first one, this movie is absolutely gorgeous. You genuinely feel you're on an alien planet. The visual effects are so stellar, they are seamless. There's no shanky CGI or bad digitally rendered worms. This is photorealistic to a T, and it works so well. But not just the visual effects are the highlight of this movie. Some of the shots and camera angles are fantastic as well. There's a scene that's almost reminiscent of the likes of Gandhi or Lawrence of Arabia, where Paul is entering this council, and it's an overhead shot, and he has to go in between, I don't know, a couple hundred extras, and I would love to know if it's done digitally, but I actually think it's just done with that many extras, and it looks absolutely fucking beautiful. The cinematography does a great job lending to the sense of scale, be it Paul on top of the sandworm travelling across the desert, be it the amount of people in certain areas, be it the Sardaukar army stationed outside the capital city, or the Fremen marching across the desert. There is grand sense of scale to this movie that is a throwback to the epic cinema of yesteryear. If I had to cite any criticisms for the movie, I think there's two. First off, Christopher Walken as Emperor Shaddam. I just feel he was incredibly underutilized. This is Christopher Walken, for Christ's sake. Now, I do get that he's essentially a puppet emperor of the Bene Gesserit, and he doesn't really have much in the way of control of the situation, which is made abundantly clear as the movie goes on. But you don't get the feeling that this is the Emperor of the Universe. He accidentally just comes across as some doddering old guy who escaped from an old folks home. I mean, it's Christopher fucking Walken. What a waste. The other thing is the soundtrack. The soundtrack, for the most part, is absolutely awesome. But there seems to be beats or touches of electronic rock music. Now, whether Villeneuve was trying to reference the Lynch version with the bizarre kind of electric rock beats, it doesn't work. The only thing it succeeded in doing was taking me out of the movie. But bar that, it's a flawless movie. It's absolutely gorgeous and could definitely be a contender for the best movie of 2024. The great thing about this movie is it leaves you wanting more, and thanks to Herbert and his wonderful novels, there is no shortage of stories that can continue on the saga of the planet known as Dune. So guys, have you seen this movie? If you have, let me know what you thought of it in the comments below, and yeah, have a good one. Take care. Bye now.